I was reading the news and I saw this Mark Robinson. If y'all don't know who that is, he's a lieutenant governor of North Carolina, and he's running for governor of North Carolina as a GOP candidate. And a bunch of news came out where basically there are these profiles that they found of him from a long time ago being on porn sites saying the craziest stuff you can imagine, right? And this is my thing. First of all, this is a terrifying and dangerous man, and I know that because he leaves comments on the message boards of porn sites. What? A porn site is simple, okay? You get in and you get out. You don't stay to chat. What's wrong with you? You're not here to make friends. You are out of your mind. Why are you just on here being with? That's weird as hell. No one I've ever met has been like, oh, well, I can't wait to log on and talk. That's a real sick man right there. That's crazy. And just so you know, Mark Robinson has been endorsed by Trump. Trump would stump with him and stuff like that. And he's been at Trump rallies and stuff. And then, Mark Robinson's a very big man. He's huge. He's a large guy. And Trump called Mark Robinson Martin Luther King on steroids. Because I don't think he understands how steroids work. They don't just make you bigger in general. Like, they don't balloon you. Like, you got to work out a little bit. You got to do something. Mark Robinson is over here being like, I think, I don't know what opinions he truly holds. I don't, because, politicians lie and they pretend to be who they think you want them to be. But it seems like he's trying to appeal to the most radical version of a conservative, right? And he has his little taglines, and he gets in with like phrases. I think that's why Trump likens him to Martin Luther King, because he tries to put on like an MLK-esque voice when he speaks and everything, but he says stuff that he sure his base wants to hear. And he said really horrific stuff about gay people, about trans people and everything. And they uncovered all of these things that he had said on the message boards of these porn sites because his username sometimes was his name. Fellas, I understand that sometimes we're in the heat of the moment and you go to one of these illicit sites, and the site asks you questions. Maybe the site, in order to enter, they want an email or something, or as eager as you are, please do not give them your actual information. This goes out to everybody. I don't care what you believe in, who you're voting for. Please do not give a porn site your real name and email address you use for work. I know it's the first email address that comes to mind when you've got other things on the mind, but make up an email address real quick. I know that sometimes that takes a second, because then you got to make a fake Google account. You got to go back. You got to accept the email from the porn site and then just look. But make it so they don't know it's you every time. It shouldn't be that hard, but apparently it is, because then CNN and the journalists on CNN, I don't remember if they're actually like CNN affiliates, but basically the journalists that looked into it found that on lots of porn sites he was using the same username, the same handles, which turn out to be the same usernames and the same handles he used on like Twitter and like. Fellas, even if it means coming up with a fake name right now. Just come up with something to say in your mind. The fact that he was using his email all the time, but it makes sense. I guess he would use his email because he was using his name and he was commenting and all that. So he probably wanted to get the feedback from what people were saying to what he was saying. Now that I think about it, maybe it was more intentional than dumb. But he said insane things. This dude, first of all, on a porn site, no one is looking for feedback, really. Do you know what I mean? Maybe there's some, maybe some crowd-funded, crowd-sourced. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure. Look, I haven't been on OnlyFans, but I'm sure with an OnlyFans, there are people that are like, I made this thing. I hope people like it. Let me get some feedback. This is what they like. This is what they don't like. That makes sense, right? But if you're just out in the world watching whatever comes up, and then you're just commenting all the time, you need a friend. This dude said such insane things. Some of them I can't repeat, but a couple of them I will. This dude said, unprovoked, I'm a black Nazi. I don't know where you begin with I'm a black Nazi from a black dude who should have probably left the porn site by now. He said other stuff. He was like, I would rather Hitler in office than the people that are in there now. I'm more confused than angry. I'm not gonna lie. And then he said stuff about how, like, my man, slavery wasn't that bad. I wish they would bring back slavery. I'd buy a couple. Mind you, this is on a porn site. What wires do you have crossed in your head? Does being horny make you angry? What? In what world does that come up? It's very specific. In what world are you on a porn site and then you're like, you know what really needs to be fixed? The Senate. Bruh. What? I do my best. I really do. I do my best to try to understand people, and I don't get this one. This is beyond me. Because even outside of what he said on the sites, it's also some of the things that make him unfit for office are just what he says out in the open. The way that he talks about people who are definitely his constituents. There are gay people in North Carolina. There are trans people in North Carolina. So when he speaks, he's speaking about them and sometimes to them. And he says very sick, hateful things, And just the way that he has this weird, I'm trying to figure out how to say this. I try to love everybody, but it's very hard to love a black man that hates being a black man. It is jarring. You don't even know where to start. And the thing that I think maybe he thinks is that his proximity to whiteness and what the white people around him like will be his safety. And it's not going to be the case. Fundamentally, it won't. Because when you say things like slavery wasn't that bad, I wish they would bring back slavery, I'd buy a couple. Who do you think? It's hard to get to the bottom of what this person is thinking because it's so crazy, it's like, it's one of those things where you look at the state of politics, and it's one thing to lie, and it's one thing to say what you think people want to hear, but it's another thing to be an absolute lunatic and already in office, because he's already lieutenant governor. So governor's not that far of a stretch. And he got to be lieutenant governor saying mostly what he says now, minus the porn stuff. And it's so bad that Donald Trump himself, the dude who would stump with them, this is Martin Luther King on steroids. He doesn't know what steroids are. This is Martin Luther King on steroids. Donald Trump's campaign is even telling him, hey, you may need to drop out. If Donald Trump's campaign Donald J. Trump's campaign is telling you to drop out, you should probably leave Earth. The idea that Donald Trump's campaign is like, this guy, ugh. The fact that Trump distanced himself from Mark Robinson, Trump doesn't distance himself from Nazis. The fact that he was like, oof, this is pretty weird, right? You know, like Trump didn't denounce the Proud Boys openly. They asked him about the Proud, and he was like, you know, boys will be boys, I guess, or whatever. But you, no. And that's exactly what I mean. Your proximity to whiteness won't save you. You're actually saying and doing some of the same things that the people say and do that Trump didn't distance himself from. But he's getting as far away as he can from your black ass. He's getting so far away from you, you would think he was on steroids. I think a lot about how we think about each other and we treat each other, especially now with like an election on us, you know. Everybody's exhausted. Why do we even do it this way? You know, in like France, they're like 3 months out, they're like, who should we pick? Like we're the only ones that make it a season and a half of TV. Like no one else in the world does this. No one else in the world is like, all right, 2024, let's start talking about 2028. Why do we do it this way? And then you watch people, you watch how they react to people, you know. Like I have a tougher time than I've ever had with the things that are being said, you know. Everybody expects politicians to lie. Everybody expects politicians to not care about them. I get that. But what's happening right now is like truly insane. You know, J.D. Vance was at a rally and it's weird. Okay, I've just never seen somebody with less charisma. Like, J.D. Vance makes Ron DeSantis look like Ron White. Like, it's... Because when Ron DeSantis was running, I was like, why he smiling like that? He was just, do you remember his smile? He's right. He's like, it's like it hurt him to talk to people, person to person. Then J.D. Vance got in there and nobody was happy. And J.D. Vance said, you know, they asked him about how he felt about the whole rumor about the dogs and cats things affecting the Haitian community, why they've been zeroing in on Haitians specifically in Springfield for some reason. You know, he's from Ohio and everything like that. And he basically said, like, and you can look this up for yourself if you think I'm being unfair, but he basically said that, you know, this is a Democrat talking point and a point by the media and everything, as if he didn't say it. And then he Then he basically says, everyone loves talking about those Haitians in the community like they came here legally and are doing everything legally, but they were brought in and they were legalized through a process by Kamala Harris that is unconstitutional. So as long as they're here, I'm going to call them illegal aliens. He's talking about the people who did the right thing, by the way. You'll still be illegal. You'll never not be illegal, in my view. That's wild. You can't do that. You just can't, because the law is supposed to be the law. You're supposed to be the party of law and order. You can't just be like, nuh-uh, that's not... It's not how the law is supposed to work, And look, I think that one of the reasons we get pitted against each other really, really hard is because America makes a promise, and it makes a promise to everybody that they will have it better tomorrow. And a better tomorrow isn't coming for everybody because of systems in place to keep tomorrow like today. So when I see Donald Trump at a rally and he says they're coming from Africa, they're coming from the Middle East, some of them are coming from Asia. These people are coming to our country, they're poisoning the blood of our country, and we have to get them out. I don't just think about people of color. I do think for a second about white people from the past, right? Because white wasn't always this singular identity. There was a time in America where if you were Irish, you were spit on. Where if you were Italian, you were beat. And everything that Trump says about them is what they said about all those people in the background, right? About their great-grandparents. So they may cheer it on, but recognize if you have Italian descent, if you have Irish descent, if you're Greek, there was a time where you were not welcome here. And they said that your very presence and the presence of your children would destroy the country, would poison the blood. And then we became the most powerful country in the world. So clearly it's a lie. It's so clearly a lie. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this as if I'm like, don't even have a program, open borders, just let everybody come in, spill it. The thing that they are painting, sometimes it's not even what's happening in the area. And look, I'm going to tell you right now that I think that there should be a fair and legal and simple process for becoming a citizen. Do you know what I mean? And I think that having a process is not un-American. Having a process is not cruel, right? But there has to be a process. But then when that process is adhered to, you can't just be like, no, that's unmanageable. That's wild to me. I have friends who, one of my good friends is Italian, first generation Italian, and he's a bit older, and he tells me stories of what it was like for his family, right? And so much of it was based around fear. These Italians are coming over here and they're going to ruin everything with their good food. And they were called criminals. There was an assumption that everybody, no matter who you were, in the Italian community was in the mob and you were dangerous and people should stay away from you, It's everything. It's every single thing that's happening now. I'm not saying that there's no possibility of having an immigration problem. I'm not saying that it's not something that needs to be addressed. I'm saying the rhetoric that you use when you talk about people is important. No matter what you do when you build policy, Because I would like the people who are hardworking, the people who are honest, the people who genuinely love America to be in America, Because the same things that they do to immigrants now is what they did back in the day, you know? Maybe you were Irish, and maybe an Irish person in your community committed a crime. And now it's a crime on all of you. Not just one of you did it, y'all all did it. Every single one of you, and we're gonna make you feel like you did it. We're gonna put up signs, right? And if you're Irish, you know what those signs said. You know what I mean? So where did that get us? And where are we now? You know? Because we didn't send those Irish people back. We didn't send those Italian people back. You know, we found a way to make things work, and you build on a process and you improve it. I'm not saying there's not a process that doesn't need to be improved. I really am not. I'm saying that the way that you talk about people is important. Outside of anything else, whether they share some land with you or not. You know, and the same things that are happening now are what happened back then, you know? I'm scared of having a political process that's it's untenable.
It's funny how sometimes people like enter your life without you ever meeting them. Like you don't get to know them, but you hear stories about this person through the people that you know or a friend of a friend, but then they just keep coming up and you feel like they're in your life, even though you've never met them. You wouldn't know them on the street if you saw them, right? There was a guy like that for me named Marty. I never met Marty. Wouldn't have been able to track him down if you gave me a 23andMe and a genealogy test or something like that. I knew Marty through stories because Marty had an interesting life. This dude spent a bunch of time in France. He was American born, lived in France for a long time, learned French super fluently, and apparently he told one of his friends, this is how I heard the story, that he dreamed in French. Like he spoke English, obviously, and he lived in the States again, but his dreams would just be full of people speaking French at different points and stuff. And it came up because here in the US, he met someone and they fell in love, but she was French. So went all the way to France, didn't meet anybody. Came back here, met a French woman, right? And there was a day where Marty, he basically, in a nutshell, forgot his girlfriend's birthday. You know, it was their first year together, so we're still like been dating some months, but hanging out all the time and everything. I said, my birthday. You're supposed to remember. That's part of the relationship quiz. And it kept seeming like maybe there was a surprise waiting or he was pretending to have forgotten or something. And then he went and took a nap. Yeah, not only did you forget my birthday, you napping in my face. And then I guess when she realized that he genuinely did forget, she woke him up, and she woke him up mad. And when she was mad, she'd go straight to French, right? Because she'd be so mad she wasn't putting it in English for him. And so he woke up to his girlfriend yelling at him in French. So he thought he was still dreaming. So wakes him up. Can't believe you forget my birthday. What's wrong with you? Are you out of your mind? You over here playing in my face all day? All in French. I'm paraphrasing. And then he was squinting, real tired, and was looking up at her and just wonders, I guess, to himself, am I having a dream right now? And so he casually, while she's yelling at him, puts his finger in her mouth. I don't know if you ever had somebody forget your birthday before, but you definitely have not had them put their finger in your mouth as you were letting them have it. And there were like felt like dozen funny stories like that about Marty. Marty was an interesting dude, and he just moved in different circles than me. Never met Marty or anything. But Marty got older, got married, had some kids and stuff. And then Marty got sick, and Marty had cancer. And, there were some treatments that they could try, but it wasn't looking good, and his insurance wasn't going to cover it, and he couldn't do it out of pocket, and Marty passed away. And it's crazy because one of the other things about Marty that people talked about was how he was like a good boss. It's sometimes hard to be a good boss because people don't like being bossed around. Like people don't enjoy someone telling them what to do, but somebody got to tell you what to do if we all work here. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't just show up to work and be like, you figure out whatever you feel like. Nothing would get done. Like there do need to be bosses sometimes in certain situations. It's just how you are a boss, Like there are certain managers that I've had in my life that honestly, I had the easy job and they still made it hell because they were hell to be around, There's nothing like having an easy job that is an easy job. I could do this in my sleep, but I got to do it next to a jerk. That's the worst, those people got time to lean, got time to clean. And this is another thing I have to accept about bosses. I have to accept about managers. There are some jobs where genuinely it's in the handbook. It's like part of the job. The job makes you kind of come off like, or maybe turn into a bastard. Do you know what I mean? Because there are policy handbooks of companies where if you got time to lean, you got time to clean is in the book. They just quote them. So there are some jobs where you got to be a monster to do them. And there's some jobs that make you a monster, I was thinking about that when the shooting in New York happened. I know. Because for me, in case you didn't know, in case you somehow have not been on Earth, there was a shooting in New York. Basically, this dude walked up behind CEO of United Healthcare and he shot him several times and then he went off, right? But apparently he had been camped out there waiting. That dude walks past him. He goes pop, 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 pop. And then he jumps on apparently a city bike, which is not advisable. And then he heads over to Central Park and disappeared into the night/day, because it was day. It was broad daylight, too. That's also what felt so insane about it. It happened during the day. You got to understand, there's New York day things and New York night things. We usually keep the shootings after dark. And when it happened, it shook everything up. Everyone was obsessed. The news was obsessed. The news was obsessed when it happened. The news was like, finally, we have something to talk about that's not Trump. Oh, wow. What a day. So the news talked about it all day. The news talked about it nonstop. The news would even have people on to discuss it who clearly were just finding stuff out in the moment with us on the news. They would bring the expert on and then play the clip. And then the expert would watch the clip and be like, damn, it's like you were supposed to know, sir. That's why you're on the news. The news was absolutely obsessed, right? The news even did a thing that I've never seen before that I very much resented, because I'm just gonna be honest with you. This entire time, I'm just gonna be telling you how I feel. I'm not gonna tell you how to feel. I'm not gonna judge how anyone feels. I'm just talking about myself, right? When I saw it happen, When I saw that video footage that they played, when I saw that dude walk up and pull out a gun and point it at that CEO, I thought to myself, thank God those are white hands. When I saw those lily white hands, when I saw those pearly white hands, I thought to myself, what a white sight. What a beautiful white thing to happen that does not have anything to do with me, that should not blow back on me at all. What a white moment in America. And then in their obsession, continually, over and over again, describing what happened, going over what happened, the news did something. CBS this morning showed the clip. They showed this man walk up, pull out the gun, and they said on CBS in the morning, a light-skinned man. No. No. Light skin. When has the news ever said light skin? What's next, CBS? Red bone? Light skin. I was horrified. No, you know, if it had been a black person, they would say black, because they love saying black. Anytime a black person does something, the news is like, this black was last seen at the scene of the crime. You know this black. If you've seen this particular black, call this number so you can report him for his blackety black crime. Guys, light skin. The news was obsessed with it, top to bottom. You could not watch anything else. I'm sure stuff was happening everywhere in the world, but you wouldn't know it. Just kept circling this one block in Manhattan, and people were obsessed with it. Us were obsessed with it. It's all I heard people talking about. People who I know don't watch the news, people who I know don't really care about current events. Everybody was talking about it. Everybody was debating it on social, online. Everyone was talking about it. People were so obsessed that the backpack that the shooter was wearing sold out. Because in America, everything is an ad, including murder. People were so obsessed. You know, like those Timothy Chalamet lookalike contests they've been having in New York? A bunch of white people got together because they knew he was white. A bunch of white people got together in the park and all dressed like the shooter and had a shooter lookalike contest. And it's been done in comedy before. I understand. It's a joke that's well worn. White people be like this. Black people be like this. But can I just say, as a black person, we have never, as black people, watched the news seen the suspect, and then went outside specifically dressed as the suspect. We've never watched the morning, the 8 o'clock, the 10 o'clock, the midnight news and been like, oh, that's a good fit right there. Let me make sure I got it right. A red bandana. Okay, I need a red one. That's just how you can tell being white is a different experience, because these white people racially profiled themselves for fun. That's just having a time. So the news was obsessed, and people were obsessed, and CEOs were obsessed. CEOs were like, what? What happened? Oh my God. Oh my God, are you serious? And they didn't know each other. Kids, he just did that in broad daylight to one of us? CEOs started making moves, man. CEOs of all the healthcare companies started taking down all of their profiles. All of their LinkedIns were just back to factory settings. And look, I need to be clear about something. I mean, you're gonna glean this off of me the entire time. I don't want anybody to die, right? I don't celebrate death in any way, right? But I will say, if you feel in the wake of this thing happening, like you have to scrub all mention of you, all knowledge of your existence off of the internet, then maybe, just maybe, take a look at how you do business. Take a look at the person. Do you know what I mean? Because I've seen this thing before in a different way. Okay, so I had a buddy who I went to his apartment for the first time. And this dude, I understand taking precautions, because that's what they will say they were doing. They were like, we don't know the motive. We don't know why this person would do this thing. We don't know who they are. We don't know if they're going to come for one of us. So we try to protect ourselves, you know, we just take everything off. And that's what this guy was doing. I went to his house for the first time, went to his place, and he had 6 locks on his door. At 6 locks, something needs to change. At 6 locks, you either need to move or change your ways, all right? Because this dude had 6 locks. He was dealing a little bit of drugs and stuff, but I was like, 6 is, come on. What are you doing? It takes you a minute and a half to open the door. I can hear it. You hear chains, you hear all that stuff. You know? I was like, isn't this worse for you? You really worried somebody coming to get you? You got 6 locks. You sure you won't get killed trying to get in? But that happened, and the news was having trouble thinking of a motive. The news, they were like, why? Why would anyone? Why? Who could it be? You know? Police were having trouble coming up with a motive when they went on the news. They were like, we have no idea why this individual would do something like this. CEOs could not think of a motive. They were like, but we're us. I thought everybody loved us. Everybody wants to be us. Why would somebody come after us, right? You see it on the news. And this is also, I'm not going to lie, this is how you can tell the news is owned by billionaires. Because the news was like this this devastating, terrifying, harrowing attack in New York. And I'm not saying, look, a murder did take place. I'm not saying that it couldn't have been those listed as those things. I'm just saying you're the news. Like, you are the mainstream media. You play horrific stuff all the time. You're the same news that when those pages were going off on those people in the Middle East exploding, you were like, check this out. Isn't that wild? The moment 1,000 pages went off and killed a bunch of people. You know what I mean? That same news is like, we still don't know who or why or what or how. No. Police couldn't think of a motive. CEOs couldn't think of a motive. CEOs of other healthcare companies couldn't seem to think of a motive. This thing happened the same week as one of the main insurance providers was saying out loud with their full chest, "We gonna stop doing anesthesia if you take too long. You better." Which, by the way, is not up to the patient. That's also one of the most insane things about that new policy they were going to try out. I've never had to administer anesthesia to myself. That's just heroin. Yeah, if your surgery takes too long, it's not like they're there, by the way. It's not like they have to wait on you in the waiting room or something. If your surgery takes too long, we're going to charge extra to put you back under. If your surgery takes too long, we might not cover more anesthesia. What? In what world did we think you could pay for health insurance and then you wake up during, who knows, whatever serious surgery you're having, and then your doctor has to be like, "Hey, do you have like $650? Because if not, I know you're a little groggy, but can you understand me right now? I know you're literally open, but can you understand what I'm saying? If you don't have it, that's okay. I got a stick. We can Civil War this right now." The stick is $20 though, so it's... Couldn't think of a motive, you know? And the CEOs as well, when you look at this guy, you look at this dude, I don't think anyone was ready. I don't think the news was ready. I don't think the police were ready. I don't think the rich were ready for how, like, on the shooter's side the public was. Do you know what I mean? Like, how absolutely, unequivocally on his side. Immediate. I didn't know it had happened and there were already jokes. Do you know what I mean? Immediately. You know? The people, I'm not going to say as a whole because I'm not going to speak for everybody, but for the most part, were on the shooter's side. They don't know the motive. They don't know why he did this thing, but they were glad that it happened. And so out of it, you get these CEOs, you get these rich people going on the news and really campaigning, being like, look, the CEO, this man was a father. This man was a husband. This man, and they really appealed to the humanity of this CEO. And there were people who heard that appeal, and they said, "Yeah, no, I know he was a person. So was my cousin. So was my brother. So was my sister. So was my friend." You know what I mean? This man had children. He leaves children behind. This is a senseless death. It did not have to happen. And it's like, yeah, no, I know about I know about avoidable deaths. You know, I'm a customer. I know people who have died these avoidable deaths because it took too long to get their medicine, took too long to get the treatment. Maybe it wasn't covered. Maybe they're on the phone forever. This man was a father. He was a husband. Okay, so was Marty. You know what I mean? And I think the thing that people are wrestling with, the thing that we're all trying to contend with in how we feel about this thing, because people want to feel like good people. We know that murder is wrong. We know that death is a tragedy, right? Because to me, personally, when I look at any death, when I look at any killing in that way, I personally look at it as a loss and a tragedy, because as long as someone is alive, there's potential. There's potential to turn things around. There's potential to change. And then if you lose that potential, then your story gets cut short, and maybe things would have turned around. I'm not saying that they would have, but the thing that we're all wrestling with is that a murder did happen. Someone killed someone in cold blood. They just didn't kill an innocent man. Do you know what I mean? That's also what feels so conflicting about it. Like, a killer killed a killer. This dude was the CEO. A lot of people died under his watch, through his policy, through what United Health does. You know? There are a lot of people that are gone, and when you can see an act happen in real time, it's very easy to look at it, be shocked by it, and call it murder. When you can spread all of the culpability, when you can spread all of the actions across thousands of individuals and a whole system, now somehow it's nobody's fault. You know? And like, you look at someone like Brian Thompson, that CEO, that dude was, to himself probably, I'm assuming, just good at his job. It's his job to make the company money. I don't know what CEO, outside of maybe like a gun manufacturer, wakes up and wants people to die. Like, I don't know. I don't know what CEO wakes up. These CEOs, they work 80-hour weeks, and they don't see their families and everything, but they do it because of their obsession to succeed and to build up the company, to make the company successful, to give back to the shareholders, all the reasons they come up with. And if some people die along the way, then that sort of is what it is, right? But this dude, make no mistake, he was a killer. He was such a good killer that the company was like, damn, Brian. Damn, you cold-blooded. We need to make you CEO. Wow, you don't care. You don't care at all. Women, kids, you get them all. Wow, Brian. He got promoted the way a gang member becomes a leader, you know? You're the coldest one out here. You know? It's tough. It's really tough. It's hard. It's also hard because when you talk about it, or whenever you're feeling what you're feeling, you don't want to. We're all human, but you don't want to lose your humanity. You know, like you don't want to get so spiteful that you lose some of yourself. You know, and so this dude, they're looking for him, and it's hard because the people are on his side. There's literally people dressing up as him, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I feel like some of the cops were even on his side, because the cops were on a manhunt for him in Central Park, and they weren't looking hard. Dude, they weren't. Like, did you, if you saw the news and you saw them in Central Park, I've never seen a more lackadaisical hunt in my life. There were cops in Central Park. This is being shot. They see the camera and they know what's going on the news, and they were still like, he ain't in this bush. Where else is there to look? Oh. It's hard, you know. It's also difficult because you want to have empathy for everybody if possible. You want to see every angle if possible. But this one is tough in a way because of what Brian was. Just a representative, by the way. That dude just is one of the dude. Nothing changed. He's one of the dudes. And he can be one of the dudes because the system's already there. So it's not as if doing anything to him does anything to the whole, right? I mean, I will say, I do think they roll back that anesthesia thing. That did happen. Maybe they'll go through it with it later, but for the time being, it seemed like they were like, ooh, okay. You know, but he's allowed to be where he is, how he is, because of the system at play. A system, by the way, who didn't care about Brian either. Let's be honest about that. You know, because that man was headed to a meeting when he was murdered, and investors still had the meeting. That's how it works. They were getting notifications on their phone that Brian was outside, and they were like, ugh, so the minutes. How's next quarter looking? I mean, that's why it's not worth it. You know, when you put like that much profit over the person, you are also lost in that thing, right? And I think that's a harrowing thing. I think for CEOs, that was like a terrifying moment, because it was the first time that they saw that we see them the way they see us. Do you know what I mean? That's got to be scary. Because for them, make no mistake, for them, we're not clients, we're not consumers, we're not customers, we're not even users. None of the names that they put in their reports, none of the things that they say to their shareholders, we're numbers, we're an account number, we're this thing. Which is why when we go away, when we disappear, when we die, it doesn't really mean anything to them. Because they never really saw us. And then the response to this shooter, this like overwhelming positive response on social, I'm not saying it was everybody, but a lot of people, it was kind of this wake-up call that we don't see them as people either. Which is, that's scary. That's a scary place to be in, you know? Because when you would see it on the news and the news described it, let's not mince words. It was a murder. The man was murdered. You know what I mean? And the news would describe it as if it was the singular event in history. This horrific crime that took place in the streets of New York in broad daylight, this harrowing attack. And I'm not saying that it wasn't. I'm just saying that the woman in the video with her coffee that got out of the way didn't spill. It was one of the most New York things I've ever seen. For someone to get shot and then a bystander be like, he ain't shooting at me. And so then they catch the shooter, right? And when they caught the shooter, I was at a coffee shop, and everyone got a notification on their phone. We weren't all talking to each other. Just you could see everybody was either already on their phone or pulling their phone. But I heard beeps. I heard all the little notification noises. And then in this coffee shop, not even kidding, there was a collective, "Aw." Oh, that's the noise you make if the baby hippo Mudang dies. That was wild. Oh, yeah, they caught him in a McDonald's. And there was footage of him on the news later in that McDonald's eating a hash brown. And when I saw that, I was like, wait, he's eating a hash brown at McDonald's. He's eating McDonald's hash brown. So it had to be before 10:30. is eating a McDonald's hash brown, which means somebody woke up early to snitch. Damn, barely awake at 9 o'clock. I don't know. Blinking. Oh, that must be him. Let me make the call. You know? And what's even crazier about that is apparently, at least as of the time I am talking to you, it looks like that McDonald's worker that called him is not going to get the reward money. Which, wow. Is not going to get the reward money. And people were looking it up. The person was like, why wouldn't I get the reward money? Everything. Apparently, what they were told and what the internet says is like, actually, the process of collecting reward money for turning someone in is very complicated because there's an amount that has to be approved by two different bodies, and one body approved the $10,000, but when it got up to like 50, 60, it wasn't approved by both bodies. So then when they turned them in, they may not get anything at all, actually, because there's so much confusion around how much to give them or if it's the full amount. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of wild to me, because there was no confusion when they called and they were like, nigga here. So y'all coming, or? That was very straightforward. There weren't any other things you needed to check before you came and picked them up, you know? That's why they in my opinion, they did it wrong. You know, if you're going to call and you're going to tell people that he's here, don't call the police right away. Get your money up. Call Blue Cross Blue Shield. Call Blue Cross Blue Shield and be like, hey, I know you don't know me, but I think I might have eyes on your boy. And we don't know what he gonna do next. So what are you thinking, 50, 60? I'm just wondering how much he's worth to you, you know what I mean? Because I could make some other calls if you want. I can call a couple different people. There are about 6 providers. Y'all got a real monopoly going on, so. Okay, because he might be here, he might not. Hurry up. It looked like he leaving. I always thought it was very straightforward. You know, there's a reward out for a fugitive, and then you turn in the fugitive and you get the reward. That's how it happens in all the Westerns. You know what I mean? But then they're like, oh, no, actually, I'm the FBI and the local police have to decide on an amount, and then there's like an arbitration process and everything. It's just so funny that like this whole thing happened, and then them trying to get their money just sounds like an insurance claim. You know? So then they come and they catch the dude, and he has everything with him. He's got his backpack with him, gun in his backpack, 4 fake IDs and everything. And it's kind of wild because so many people, when the attack first happened, thought this dude must be an assassin. How do you get out of New York? This man was in Manhattan. He did a shooting, and now no one knows where to find him. In New York, a police state with surveillance everywhere. The man was on an island. And he got off, and they couldn't find him. He must be a genius. And then you find him at 10:02 in McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, with hash brown crumbs all over his face. And then people went from calling him a genius, like, oh, he's so dumb. He's the dumbest man that's ever lived. Look, I think all this proves is one thing. When you read history and you look back, some of these people, because there have been individuals out there saying, you say he's a killer, I say he's a freedom fighter. There are some people that think he's a revolutionary and everything. Let's just say this. This is proof that even when you read a history book, revolutionaries were just sort of figuring it out as they went. You know what I mean? I'm sure Che Guevara had his days where he was like, y'all, I don't know. Whatever y'all want to do, I guess. They see the fake IDs, they question them, they bring them in and everything. And his name is Luigi Mangione, or Mangiani, or Mangione. There's so many different ways I've heard his name pronounced that I'm not positive the name he going by wasn't just one of those fake IDs. Like, that's the most cartoonish name I've heard in years. Luigi Mangione. It sounds like you making fun of an Italian person. Luigi already wild. He don't even go by Luigi. And they put his picture all over the news and everything, and it turns out that he is very good looking. Like, just upsettingly good looking. Almost objectively, in a way. Like, crazy. Everything in its right place and everything's good. Strong eyebrows with a big smile and everything, and just all the pictures. Because you know when the news catch you, when the police catch you, they try to put up some, depending on who you are. This usually happens to black people, but it happens to white people once in a while too, where they try to find the craziest picture they can of you. And I think they tried, but it was tough work because he is a good-looking individual. Every picture looked good. He would just be with model rockets, looking like a model. Like, it was crazy. They take his mug shot, and the mug shot looked like a cologne ad. Like, that was upsetting to me as a fellow man. I was like, y'all gotta get one bad pic, please. One bad picture. He was doing everything in that mug shot but biting his lip. Like, you've seen the mug shot. My man was... Mugshot's supposed to be simple. Mugshot's supposed to be your face and your profile. Your face and your profile. Your height. It's supposed to be very quick and easy. You know? This man was so good looking, they took extra mugshots. There's some that are like a little lower than him where he looking down. Like... There's some up high where he just like, you can tell, even the mugshot photographer was like, now do it like you're a bad boy. They tried so hard to get a bad picture of him that they took stills from video. They tried to take stills from video because that usually gets people. You take a still from a video and somebody was blinking weird. Okay, normally people blink with both eyes at the same time. Every once in a while, like let's say you mid-yawn or something, or you're chewing, one eye might close before the other eye. And if you catch me in this moment, I look a little off, something going on with me. And now if you tell people I killed a bunch of people, you're like, I can see it. I can see it on... That's what the other eye is hiding, is secrets. That's why it's closed like that. Okay. They tried... This man was being led to the jailhouse through what looked like a tunnel, and he getting pushed by police through a tunnel, and he's screaming. And they took stills from that, and those still looked good. Who looks good screaming? This man's getting pushed through the tunnel, yelling back at the media, going, ah! Like just... I'll show you right now. about that was sexy. And people already thirst trap me. We thought Ted Bundy got letters. It was insane. It was very aggravating. And then every picture looked good to the point where editors and media consultants and stuff like that were like, stop putting pictures out of him. That's how good he looked. They were like, stop. You botched it. Don't put out another picture. And you could tell that the newspapers were getting aggravated because these newspapers and these media companies are owned by billionaires who are terrified right now of what's happening. And they see the public lauding this dude as a hero, and they're trying to get at least something. The cops literally had to tase this dude so he pissed himself, so he took one bad photo. But even in that one, you're like, oh. I just know that there was somebody at a newspaper flipping out going, y'all can't do your job? Y'all can't take one bad photo of this man? Everything got to be in focus? You can't even make it blurry? But I'm not gonna lie, when they caught that dude, I felt everything started to come back up top, like surface level again, where I felt bad for a lot of different people. You know, I did feel bad for Brian Thompson's kids, because you don't pick who your daddy is. You know, and to a certain degree, I even felt bad for the shooter, because I'm like, you're 26 and you have money. Something happened. Something happened. You're smart. You have your whole life ahead of you with all of this opportunity. You disappeared for some time, and now you do this. Something happened, you know? But I felt especially bad, like really, really bad for women. Because finally there was a good-looking, rich, well-read man who has nothing to do with Hollywood, but he does murder some. So, I mean, I could just see somebody trying to defend him. Just women defend their men too hard sometimes. Just like, he just did one. It was just one murder, okay? He can't even murder a little, like. You judging me because my man your man cheat, all right? How about that? Felt bad for a lot of people when it happened, when it became like surface level real again. It wasn't just this like spy crime mystery thing. It was like back down to earth with real people. I also feel very bad for anybody else who got shot that day. It's New York. A lot of people get shot in New York every day. Imagine you get shot in New York. Ow, they got me, right? And you holding it. And let's say you're an artist. So you actually do your own police sketch of your shooter. And then you hobble your way over to the police station and you put it from like, look, that's exactly what he looked like. I had a lot of time to draw it. Can you go looking? And then the police look at you and be like, sorry, this other thing's sort of an all hands on deck. You know? But yeah, it's tough. It's tough because, you know, there was even a lot of talk about which CEOs in this whole thing were safe. Do you know what I mean? Because like healthcare CEOs were on high alert, but I'm not gonna lie, you know, Luigi, he went to Starbucks and then he did that murder and then he hopped on a city bike and he left New York and everything. If you the CEO of Starbucks, you got to be like, oh, thank goodness. You know, Starbucks does stuff too. Starbucks, they love that labor. They love that cheap labor. So for you to go to Starbucks before you take out a CEO, I'm not gonna lie, you might as well shot that man with an iPhone. Like, what are you doing? And then he gets found at a McDonald's. I'm sure the CEO of McDonald's is like, oh, thank God, okay. I was always good, yes. You know, the CEOs were freaking out, you know, across the board. Who would have thought? Who would have thought CEOs were family? Do you know what I mean? Like, and let's be clear about something. Don't mistake the different CEOs that commented on this, the ones that stayed scared, the ones that appealed to a different way of doing things while they keep doing everything the same way. Don't mistake their self-preservation for empathy. Right? Because those CEOs, they know, you know, and it's not even as if people hated people because they were rich. They hated a system that destroyed people's lives, you know, because Luigi is rich. Luigi is so rich. When I found out how rich he was, that's so rich. The dude's family owns 2 country clubs. Look, why do you think I came? This dude's family owns 2 country clubs. This is just me outside looking in. I didn't even know you could own a country club. I thought it was owned by the country. I had no idea, because usually people don't put their name on the country club they own. It's not like it's Rick's Country Club. Like, that's crazy that Luigi's family had more money than the CEO, but then the CEO comes from like humble beginnings and has more money than Luigi does personally. And so it became this whole thing where some people started turning on Luigi and then rooting for the CEO. It was odd because people got too wrapped up in the money. But for me, it's not the money specifically. It wasn't about who's rich and who has more money than who. It was about a system that destroys people's lives, you know? It was about the fact that some jobs make you a monster and there are some jobs you have to be a monster to do. You know what I mean? And so for me, I don't even care that Luigi is rich, because the people, right? The people that love that it happened, the people that didn't care that it happened, the people that just wanted some taste of revenge for how healthcare and health insurance has destroyed their life. We use healthcare and health insurance interchangeably, but I think you know what I mean, how these insurance companies take the good work of doctors, the good work of nurses, and they make it so it's inaccessible, you know? And I think that the CEOs were scared, but let's be honest, not all CEOs were scared. I'm pretty sure the CEO of Ben and Jerry slept pretty good this entire time. Yeah, like, nobody was calling for all the CEOs. Nobody wanted to get Ben or Jerry. We were both very happy with those individuals. You also have a year where whistleblowers who try to stand up to power and a system, not just like one person, right? Because that's what I think a lot of CEOs don't understand, and why a lot of news media didn't understand about how the people feel, is that there were people who tried to do things the right way. They whistleblew, hey, this company is doing this thing. It's either putting your life in danger or it's stealing from you. And then all of a sudden, 2024 seemed to be the year of whistleblowers turning up dead. You know what I mean? Look at the Boeing whistleblower. That dude turns up dead when he's supposed to testify in the thing he already risked his life to do, and you're telling me he just mysteriously died in the parking lot of his hotel room that nobody knew he was staying at? Come on now. Come on. And then my man is blowing the whistle on a bunch of stuff we already know. He's like, the door gonna fly off. We heard. And then another whistleblower dies, and another whistleblower dies. And then just today, the whistleblower that blew the whistle on OpenAI was found dead in his apartment. And so, yeah, I think that people, as in individuals just generally in the world, are scared. They're scared of what happens when you stand up to power. They're scared of what happens when you try to do what seems like the right thing, you know? And these powerful people step in and we don't know, but it looks pretty obvious what happens. And I think for me, at least to me, people, all of us, are like mirrors of each other. And right now, the mirror's like shattered a little bit. If you put up two mirrors next to each other, you make an infinite image, right? In both directions. But if you crack just one of the mirrors, you've cracked the whole infinite image. You know? And so the way that they see us, not as people, not as people who they should take care of because we are their customers, we are their consumers. We gave them money in good faith for insurance, for our health. And then you deny when I need something. I've been paying all this money. If I had just saved the money and put it aside, I might have enough myself. And now you're standing in the way of me and my health. And you don't think that there's going to be any blowback with that? You don't think anything is going to happen next? That's wild. We're in a time where you see like Josh Shapiro come up and be like, this guy was not a hero. Let me be clear. Sure, fair enough. I'm with you. All right. But you have to pass legislation. You have to get it through. And don't let a lobbyist sway you. And don't let a lobbyist sway your colleagues. You have to do something then. Because I cannot stress enough how scary it is, how much of an inevitability we're heading to. You know what I mean? If you look at history alone, all by itself, is a playbook for some people, is a cautionary tale for other people. I think a lot of the answer to what we're facing is in history. It's in Versailles. And when you read the history of Versailles, you read the history of French Revolution, it's very apparent that, you know, whether it's police, whether it's an army, guards, whatever it is, they protect the powerful, not the people. You know, and the only reason that the people won in the French Revolution, in my opinion, is because the army's guns took like a Seinfeld episode to reload. Like, it's like, yeah, you can probably get them up out of there real quick. Like you go to, I went to Versailles. I went there. And it is beautiful. It's a testament. It's a monument to like what people can accomplish. But it's all one man's wealth. You know, it's all for the king. But the gardens are beautiful. Inside is beautiful. The mirrors, everything. It's decadent. It's when I walked in, I was like, wow, I get how this can happen. I get how you could have everything in the world and you want to make something like this and it's still not enough. You want to add to it. You want to build more, build better. You see the king's bedroom. You see where Marie Antoinette, it's like you see so much. And then you walk through the thing and you also are like, oh yeah, I can also see how if you were hungry enough and you broke in here and you saw what they did, you would probably grab everybody. It doesn't make it right, but France was headed towards an inevitability. You know what I mean? And if you get on TV and you say, this is wrong, this is absolutely wrong, okay, I agree with you. But what are you going to do now? What's the plan? Like, politicians cannot afford to do nothing. CEOs cannot afford to do nothing. And the people cannot afford to do nothing. And if the last part scares you, you might be on the wrong side of history, you know? But that's a tough thing, too, because now there's a lot of people saying, like, all right, you got them, but good luck finding a jury. Good luck finding a jury that wasn't wasn't hurt by Brian Thompson, that's a tough one. Because now, to me, all Luigi has to do is show up in court and be like, y'all, I tried to call and tell him I was crazy, but they kept me on hold for so long. They kept me on hold for so long, I figured maybe I'll just go talk to him personally. I've had quite a week still trying to distill all of my thoughts and feelings around the presidential debate. Okay. I live in New York, and in New York there are a lot of parks, and in some of those parks, you'll see, it's like an iconic thing about New York, that there'll be somebody playing chess in the park, right? And sometimes they're just two old men playing chess or checkers. Sometimes it's somebody that's like, hey, I'll play anybody, I'm practicing for a tournament. And a lot of times it's somebody who's playing chess, but they're playing for like money. Like, you put 5 down, I bet you can't beat me, and I'll put 5 down, and we'll see. And then, you know, speed chess as well. They got the clock next to them, bow, and a bow, and a bow, right? And I've played before, and I'm not good at chess. And it's crazy how fast you can lose. Sometimes I'll be playing chess in the park, and he'll be like, checkmate, but it sounds like there's no way. Then I'll grab, I have a chess book, and I'll look at the board and look at the book. Like, damn, okay. That wasn't that many moves. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. Yeah. And I don't know, I feel like watching the election and watching the debate felt a lot like that. It felt like bad chess moves. We've watched a lot of debates that Trump has been in, and we've gone 2 for 2 this year with having remarkably historic debates, both of which were like, whew. You know what I mean? Like, you get done and you're like, whew. Felt like I was up there. And there was a moment in the first debate that was echoed in this debate. There was a moment back when Trump was debating Biden, and I've talked about it before, where there's a second there where Trump looked at Biden, and for a split second, he wasn't trying to be president. He wasn't even trying to debate. He was literally like, hey, he good? Like, no, y'all, stop. Is he good though? It was a different tactic than we've ever seen before from Kamala debating Trump, because she debated him the way that I think a lot of us might debate him. You know? I'm not gonna speak for anybody in here, anybody listening to me. I don't know if you're like a political analyst. I don't know how involved you are with politics, but she debated him the way that I think we debate him sometimes in our heads, which is to be like, what did you just... Because most politicians are not, hear me out. Most politicians don't behave like people. And when I say that, I want you to understand, I mean
maybe they care about people, maybe they care about getting something good done, maybe they care about forwarding their agenda, but they don't react to things and they don't behave like people, like just regular people. It's why they feel fake, is because they can't just be like, oh shit. You see, man? Do you see what I mean? And it's why people from 2015 on have gravitated towards Trump, because he feels like they would react. Like he will say, oh shit. But then you look at someone like Kamala, and she's a very polished person, very accomplished person. But in that debate, she was having moments that for the first time ever felt like moments that we might have up there. Does that make sense? Like when Trump would debate other Republicans leading up to the nomination, or when Trump would debate Hillary or Biden, there was a sense of like, wait, are you not going to say anything about the thing that he just said just now? Why are you staring forward, acting like what you heard wasn't wrong? Why are you like looking to the moderators to fact check? There's nothing more exhausting than when someone who could be a good player is looking at the ref to be like, help. You know what I mean? You say he's lying right now. Like he just lied now, so say it now. Don't later be like, and then they didn't even help. Do you see what I mean? We've watched it happen. We've watched, he was in those debates. Republicans did not know what to do with this man. He was over there telling Ted Cruz to his face, your wife is ugly. And because Ted Cruz doesn't move like a person, doesn't react like a person, he didn't slap him in his face in that moment. No, Trump has shown that the American people were ready and willing for someone unorthodox. You know how much he would have surged in the polls if he had walked over from his podium and was like, what? And then slapped Trump in his face. I know at least his wife would have liked it. I don't even remember what he said about Marco Rubio. I just remember Marco Rubio looking littler and littler every day. Marco Rubio started showing up. I was like, is he 4'8"? Nobody knew what to do. Journalists didn't know what to do. Journalists were like, but you can't say that about the press. But he did it. What are you gonna do? And so now you watch this debate with Kamala, and we've all heard it and probably said it ourselves, that she baited him a lot, but he bit every time. And this is my thing with that, is that decorum aside, don't you want someone representing you that could maybe let something slide? It's got to be tough to be in the public eye. It's got to be tough to be and feel slighted all the time by lots of people that you meet that you don't know and they hate you. But also, you're here to do a job. You're here to do a job on the highest level. So a lot of people won't like you. No matter who wins as president, there will be people who are very upset. Do you really want someone who could be so easily irked? Kamala said, nobody. Kamala said that people leave his rallies early out of boredom and maybe confusion. I don't remember the other thing she said, but she said people were leaving early. And this is what's so interesting about that. We can talk about how much it's warranted or how much of it he egged on or whatever, but there has not been in a very long time a political figure that is as hated as Trump by a lot of people. So a lot of people have said every type of thing about him. A lot of people have drawn him. Do you know how much you gotta hate somebody to draw them? A lot of people, drawings take time. It's one thing to curse somebody out real quick. It's a totally different thing to No, wait, I'm getting his ass. I'm getting his ass. I'm gonna take a break, but when I get back, he about to get it, all right? So all manner of things have been said to and about him, about himself, about his family, about how he behaves, about how he actually feels, about Americans in America, all of it. But this thing hadn't been said. And it turns out that this was the thing to say. This was the thing. If you're talking about feelings, this was the thing. And that's it. Look, as someone raised by black women, don't. Black women know how to hurt feelings. Only a black woman would be like, no, go to his little rally and see. That's how confident she was in what she was saying, that she told us to go. She was like, look, I'm gonna do something I wouldn't normally do. Go ahead and go. You'll leave early, don't worry. That was the thing. That was the thing. And you could see it happen. You could see it, on his face, you could see it happen. This dude who has held the highest office has been called a traitor. He's been called a Russian asset. He's been called all manner of things, but this was the thing. And it's because deep down at his core, even his supporters will admit that deep down at the base of who he is, Trump is an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, as a fellow entertainer, if someone had said, Josh, people leave your shows early. Out of boredom and confusion, I'd be like, oh, okay, we fighting, say less. This was the thing. That was the thing that like broke through this weird armor, because I've noticed that Trump specifically has a thing that has always kind of existed in politics, but has never existed to this degree, right? Where Trump has a filter created by his base, by the people who like him, love him, and everything, that he can say whatever he wants, but they will distill it for him for the rest of us. He'll say whatever, and then they will be like, what he meant was. But what he meant shouldn't have been what he said. Because he said this, and you're saying he meant something else, but he also had access to the words you just said. So are you sure he meant what you're saying and not what he said? I'd like to think that when you say something as the commander-in-chief, you mean what you said when you said it. You didn't say something being like, they'll figure it out. And because he has that filter, because that sort of buffer exists between him and like sound arguments and logic, I don't even mean that as like a diss. I literally mean he could say something and then it could spin out past something that he meant for real, right? Because as an example, that's like Trump's vaccine. I know we forget that, and I've talked about it before, but that's like, as far as presidents go, as far as you getting credit for the things you do while you're president, that's Trump's vaccine. But when he tried to say, guys, we did it, we have a vaccine, and his audience booed, he realized what it's like. Oh, I don't necessarily control what goes out, even though I said it. I said you should get vaccinated, and then they booed me. So clearly, it's not like a one-to-one. What I say is not, it won't be exactly what they do. So now I'm also trying to figure out how to like keep them on my side, but win them over, but lead them. I think in that moment you saw him get really worried and confused, and he immediately backtracked. He was like, or don't. And I said all of that to say that the screen, the buffer, the thing that he usually has, I'm not saying he lost it for good in this debate, but he did lose it a little bit. Because I grew up in Louisiana, and I know people who are like hardcore in the MAGA movement, like people who are like, no, Trump is the guy, he is gonna fix everything, right? I've grown up with these people, and we know each other well. And this was the first time that they were like, that wasn't great. Because even in debates against Hillary, they were like, no, okay, he said the thing, and I know it's a good soundbite for you liberals, but like, this is what he meant. And the thing that they're saying he meant, which is what they heard, which is what they decided to hear, is a reasonable thing when they start saying it from their mouths. So now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you think, that's what he said, then I can see why you're still like really gung-ho while I'm more put off by what he said, you know? But this was the first time that there was almost like a shared language. There was like a shared reality around like, what's happening to him right now? And he started to spiral, and he said, hey, look, they asked him a question. I can't remember if it was about immigration or the economy, but they asked him a question that should have been a layup for him. And he was still like, can I address the rallies for a second? Which, as a fellow entertainer, I understand. If someone had said that to me, I would have also been like, hey, listen, let me explain, all right? It was a Friday late show. They were tired, okay? You can't put that on me. And he said, can I address the rallies real quick? Because people don't go to her rallies, all right? They don't go to her rallies at all. The people that go to her rallies, she got to bust them in, and then they don't even have fun while they're there. She doesn't have any snacks. Now I'm paraphrasing, but like... But he did. He hit back with like rallies. They asked him underhanded. Should have knocked it out of the park, and he got distracted by rallies and crowd size and things that make sense as a priority if you're an entertainer. But if you're about to be the leader of the free world, they shouldn't matter as much. You know? And you could see him kind of spiraling after that, because he was a little frustrated by like this thing that broke through. Then that never happens. Trump is a very hard person to debate because people like him are very hard to debate because they're not trying to have a debate with you. They're trying to make you look dumb. And because Trump is like very good at making other people look dumb, he's very good at debating. You see what I mean? But this was the first time that he was like, what is she talking about? My crowd. And so, he had a bit of a spiral. And before you know it, he was like, look, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, and you could tell in that moment that Trump wanted to say another animal, but he couldn't think of one. Because he says pets, but pets is off rhythm. If you go back and watch, it's like they're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating... And you can see for a split second the wheels turn of, he's like trying to think of, they're eating the bird. No, we all eat birds. They're eating the pets. And then, Kamala does a thing, and it's a thing that we've done when we've been watching debates, when we've been watching rallies, when we've been watching them on the news. She does a thing that we've done before, that a lot of other politicians have not done on stage with Trump. She laughed at him. And I think there's context to that laugh, because I'm not trying to get too, too much of a deep dive into it, but there's context with that laugh, because she's not laughing at him, she's laughing at what he said. And that's really different. It's one thing to say Trump is a joke, and Trump is a joke, and you could make the argument that the reason Trump became president was because Obama made him a joke. Do you remember that? Obama made fun of this man, and he just sat there quiet, And then years later, he was like, peaceful transition of power, huh? There's a big difference between laughing at Trump and laughing at what he said. You can think that Trump is a joke all you want, but he laughed his way to the presidency. But then when you laugh at what he says, when you take the power out of what he's saying, that's a very different thing. She laughed at what he said for a second. And then there was a second, it was very slight, but there was a second where she was still smiling, but she wasn't laughing. And then there was a second where she wasn't smiling and she wasn't laughing. And it was reminiscent of yo. Yo. No. Wait, yo. And that's my thing, is I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's different, It was very, very different. And the thing I've noticed in both these debates is that they're not even about who did well. They're just about who did the least poorly. That's what we get stuck on. It wasn't even, last debate wasn't even about Trump performing well, it was about Biden crashing out. And then this debate wasn't as much about Kamala winning as much as Trump. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. They're eating flamingos. They're eating the pets. And it was the first time in all the times that he's debated that Trump looked 78. Because he's 78. And he's got a lot of energy, so we let a lot of those years slide. We don't feel like he's 78. You know what I mean? I've known grandpas like Trump. I've known grandpas that were like, oh, he's got so much energy and he's so spry. And he's eating a lot of fast food. But he's 78. You know what I mean? But I guess this is one of my main things about it, is that like, it was the first time I saw him look out of his element on like a really important moment, you know? And I don't want people to think that this is like, that's it. That's all that needed. Not at all. It's harrowing how little it actually moves the needle. Almost everyone feels the way they felt before, even after we saw what we saw. And we agree that it didn't go well for one person. But we're still like, nah, I'm still gonna go the way I was gonna go. That's interesting, you know, that after all of this, they're like tied. Wow, they're tied. In lots of places, they're tied. It's not even like it's working out to be a tie because all this place and all this. Nah, in a lot of places, they watched that and they were like, I don't know. That's pretty wild, you know? The first time he really looked 78, because it was the first time he said something that like a grandpa would say right before you put him in a home. You know what I mean? Because be honest. If you let a lot of stuff slide as like a child or grandchild, and then grandpa been living by himself. But if one day out of nowhere, and you haven't seen where he saw this on the internet, he just walks up and he's like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. You're like, okay, that's the last straw. I let you put the remote in the mailbox several times. But this is the one that I can't abide. This is, no? Because it really has consequence. And I think that we live well enough here, even though I'm not even pretending things are just phenomenal. I'm just saying, day to day, by and large, we do get by. And I think that when you get by, especially comfortably, it can feel like a game. You know, it can feel like something that doesn't matter as much. You know, and it can feel like something that you're just playing at. And I think that, you know, it's important to remember that all the things that these people say, these are very powerful people already, and one of them is going to become even more powerful. Everything that they say, everything they do has ripple effects. You know, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. It's like a meme. It's like a thing that's starting up. But it's also, which is very, very important, because we did a thing back in 2014, and we've done it ever since, that I don't know how to fix it. I'm just saying what happened from 2014 on. Anyone online that was even all the way from like crazy people down to people who were slightly conservative, right? From 2014 on, were just called Nazis outright, right? Anything, and even a question, oh, you Nazi, right? To the point where Nazi started to not mean anything. And when it doesn't mean anything, it's hard to make it mean something when like an actual Nazi shows up, right? And I want to be clear here. The thing that Trump said, it is a lie started by a neo-Nazi. I don't care how many people on Twitter try to find something to make it make sense after the fact. It's a thing that a guy said at a community meeting where he was specifically targeting the Haitian community, and he said that we will not be safe the more Haitians we let into it. That's also the other part of the soundbite. Outside of the dogs and cats, this dude was specifically saying, and he gets kicked out of the community meeting. That part also didn't make it into the viral clip, right? And so when people are saying, well, I saw, and they have these fourth-hand accounts of like my brother's, sister's, uncle's girlfriend has a cat that's missing. And they try to put stuff together. There's even a video going around of some people cooking a cat that's from a year ago and not in Springfield. And then that became like evidence. There's another picture of a guy that was walking with two geese that they said he was on his way to go cook, when actually it was found out that this dude was pulling these geese away from a car accident where they got hit, and that he's probably not Haitian. But even so, death threats, bomb threats, all of this horrible, horrific stuff has been happening to the Haitian community to the point where apparently, maybe this isn't true, but apparently even the person in the Facebook group that first posted about, oh, my niece's cat is missing, and thinking, she has even come out and been like, I never meant for it to turn into this. That was just a Facebook post. Maybe she was having a goof with her friends. She didn't think it would come out of the mouth of the former president in a debate where he was flailing. So all these things have real consequences. It's not a game, and we are not chess pieces, you know? And even after the debate, you know, it almost like hijacked the whole narrative of Trump losing the debate and Kamala winning it. Now it became about this weird thing with hate. And it's also already, in that little bit of time since the debate, switched into Africans, because now they were just like, oh, wait, we got it wrong. It's not Haitians, it's Africans that are eating the dogs and cats. And so now it's already shifted just to try to find some truth out of a thing that was a lie, right? And you have J.D. Vance afterwards who, you know, pretty much probably fed that to Trump. And he's sitting there talking to Collins in an interview, talking about, okay, whether we find out that this is somewhat true or only a little bit true, was not willing to call it a lie, right? He says that, you know, we don't have evidence. This is, and look, this is me paraphrasing just for the sake of brevity, but basically we don't have evidence that there's no evidence. And the thing that is like so brain broken about that logic is that it creates like a tidal wave of insanity until you can finally make something that you want to be true, right? Because it could ruin anybody's life. For instance, when you look at J.D. Vance, there is no evidence that there's no evidence that he didn't bang a couch. Do you see? Like, do you see how that's an unending thing? How it could ruin your life and never go away? How you can't even sit anymore? Because people see you next to a love seat and wonder? Do you see how insane that is? A lie that we know is a lie? But we'll work our way to figure out how we can make it true, you know? So just please, I mean, look, we watched the debate, and it was everything from a little bit boring at times to thrilling. We shouldn't even be debating like this anymore, to be honest with you. We've ruined the debate. The debate is too much like a chess game now, where it's like 90 seconds, 90 seconds, make your move, make your move. That's not how you solve problems. When you go back before debates were televised, the people that showed up were willing to be there for hours. And the candidates had a long time to lay out their position. So there actually wasn't as much of a chance to fully dodge questions, because they were like, what are you going to do about immigration? And you have until you figure it out. But when it's 90 seconds, you can be like, what are you going to do about immigration? Well, I believe is time up yet? No. They used to take forever, because that's as long as it takes to figure out a problem. And it's as long as it takes to figure out what someone's real piece on something is, you know? If you could figure out big problems in 90 seconds, we probably wouldn't have any, you know? So just watching this thing of like, and then, and then, and then, it feels crazy. It makes me feel crazy, because I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. They're not going to make us feel like they have a plan in 90 seconds, you know? And there's too much of an opportunity to get derailed, you know? There was one point where it felt like maybe the only time in the debate where Kamala seemed a little angry. There was only one point And I don't even remember exactly what led up to it, but she basically was talking about how Trump, which I forgot this happened, because when you live in like a 24-hour, 36-hour news cycle, everything is just sort of going, and there's no time to latch on to anything that matters, and there's no time for like real nuance of an issue. You're just going and going and going. But he did invite the Taliban to Camp David. And I remember when that happened being like, aren't they not supposed to be? The Taliban. Okay. And I remember that moment distinctly because out of nowhere, Kamala turned to Trump and said, this. And you can tell she's trying to find a word that won't get bleeped. And I know it because she had to reset. She actually closed her eyes for a second. This. Once again, as someone who was raised by black women, anytime my mama looked at me and went, you. In her mind, she killed me. You know, in her mind, my life flashed before her eyes. She would come back. This former president. All right, that one will work. You know, she pointed out something that we all saw. We just didn't seem to remember. Maybe it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, you know. It's important to remember that we're not like just playing teams. It feels very much like teams, which I think is why so many people are like dug in, and no matter what happens, they're like, I'm not switching teams, but this is not a game, and we're not chess pieces. You know, it's very important. You register to vote. It's very important that you go vote and everything, because it's not going to be won by memes. You know, you can't like internet your way to fixing everything. You know, because I don't know. I don't know how everyone in this room feels or anyone watching feels. I just know that like I just want to feel comfortable with who is representing me out in the world and in front of the country. I want someone who is willing to maybe move a little bit like I would move, maybe play chess the way I play chess. And I'm not even good at chess. You know, I just, you know, we all, everyone, no matter where you fall on party lines or anything, everybody wants somebody with a plan. And they asked him. They asked him, it's, you want to repeal and replace Obamacare, and you say that you have a plan. We're asking right now, what is your plan and how would you enact it? And he didn't answer the first time. But when they asked again, they were like, after 9 years, what is your plan to repeal and replace Obamacare? Because I need to be clear here that like, if something is a good idea, a really good idea, I don't care what party it comes from. If something is a smart idea, Because I am not playing teams, because I don't feel like this is a game. This feels very real. The things that get said in a presidential debate that are funny, that are a joke for a little while, lead to death threats and bomb threats in real life. All of this is real. So if somebody has a plan and it's a good plan, not only will I hear it out, I might even help them try to make it happen, because it helps a lot of people and it gets us somewhere, right? And so they asked him, after 9 years trying to repeal and replace Obamacare, what is your plan? And he was like, look, I have concepts of a plan. I'm starting to feel like if he had repealed and replaced Obamacare back when he was president, not only would we not have health care, but I'm pretty sure our doctors would shoot us.
Cool. How y'all doing? Everybody good? Oh, sweet, sweet. This has been a terrifying night so far for me.
How are you gonna follow that up?
Oh, how am I gonna follow her? Oh, no, just kidding. What? No, you wanted to talk, so I'm just giving you the floor. Yeah.
No, I'm not.
You sure?
You're the comedian. Sorry.
No, you just made it weird for everyone. Do you do this all the time? Is this your job? Did I fuck up? I'm sorry. You usually just go to places and make it weird. Do you knock on windows during people's sex? Just, hey, how you gonna follow her ex? What the fuck? Like I said, nothing but weird stuff has happened to me tonight. It's been completely jarring. Like, because a lot of people are celebrating Halloween tonight, which in New York is a horrible idea. Like, this city is not made for Halloween because it is too difficult to distinguish the people celebrating and the real crackheads. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, I be letting people get close. You asking questions, devastating. I saw a dude with, I don't know what's outfits and what's not. Like, I saw a dude with pants, but just one leg. Like, he had a pant. Like an actual, but you see what I mean, right? Like one leg naked and the other leg business casual, right? Like one side I'm going somewhere, one side booty shorts. It's insane. Half of him is dressed for the apocalypse and the rest is like present day. And he was just acting like it was nothing. I was like, maybe it's a choice. I have no idea. I saw one dude who was just in pajamas, but he didn't have any socks or shoes on, and he was by himself sucking his thumb. I was like, I think that this one is crazy. I think, like, am I crazy? That one feels different. He not hanging out with anybody, you know what I mean? If him and his boys were all sucking thumbs together, I'd be like, all right, they a group of oddballs. But my man just by himself going, when the train coming? Ugh. No. There was a guy that sat next to me when I was on the train. So he has like this like blood thing, you know, across the forehead and it's trickling down and stuff. And he starts the conversation just normal, and he was asking me to make sure he was on the way to 34th Street, right? And it's like, it's Halloween, so it's supposed to be okay for someone who's covered in blood to just ask you for directions. It's like, I would be weird if I was like, oh, because then that's me not understanding it's a holiday, right? And then, and so I tell him, like, yeah, we're on the way. We're headed into the city, so you're going to hit 34th Street if you just stay on a few more stops. And by the way, I think that this is so cool. Like, I've never seen anybody get it that detailed. And he was like, oh, no, I'm going as Jim Halper. This is, I got in a fight with a nigga on the way to the train. I was like, all right, if you say so. Oh. That's my thing. I think my only way of telling, which maybe this isn't fair, but my only way of telling who's crazy and who's in costume is by the number of costumes. So if somebody in one costume, that's a regular person. You know what I mean? If somebody's in two costumes at the same time, that's a kid. That's a kid who couldn't make up his mind. It's like, I want to be Batman and Elsa. It's like, all right, cool, yeah. That's okay. All right, we'll get you half Batman, like Batman up top, Elsa bottom, I guess. I don't know. But if they're wearing 7, that is mental illness. That's happening the rest of the year, too. You know what I mean? If they look like Spider-Man and they just got fairy wings on the back of their head and they got Thanos wrists, it's like, all right, you're doing a lot. Just watch them. Oh, this is also the worst night in New York to get robbed. Because it's the one night where you could give the most accurate description that make you sound crazy. You know what I mean? You know, if I got robbed tonight, I was like, okay, so Minnie Mouse and Captain America went that way, all right? If you turn the corner, you can still catch them. I had a conversation with my uncle. My uncle got in an argument with his girlfriend. My uncle still has girlfriends because he didn't have his life together. So I'm just saying, my man needs to settle down or settle up. You know, like it's odd. But they got an argument because they were watching a movie, and in the movie, the couple that the movie is about, towards the end of the movie, they've been married for 60 years, and then she dies. And then within a week, he dies. But he didn't have any pre-existing conditions, so he just died of old age and clearly of grief, right? Right? And then she did the same thing. She turns to my uncle, and she's like, oh, that's so sweet. Do you think that'll happen with us? And then my uncle was like, hell no. Which I'm like, first of all, just say yes, bro. Like, just... My uncle be picking the weirdest times, to be honest. Like, that's so odd. Just say yes. That's what people are looking for. Reassurance. Say yes. Is a clear answer. Is also, you know, just say yes, you know. But then they got in a fight. Because then she was like, why don't you think you would die if I died? And then he was like, look, if you died, I'd be sad. But if a week passed, I'm not going to kill myself just to, like, stay in the timeline. And then she's like, well, why don't you love me enough to just die after I die? Like, she turned into, like, a real fight. And he was like, look, first of all, this conversation doesn't make any sense because I'm clearly going to die before you, okay? I'm overweight. I got high blood pressure. So let me ask you this. Are you willing to kill yourself in 8 years? Oh, that's a real thing that I've noticed in my friends' relationships. I've even had it a couple times where there's a hypothetical at play that's never going to happen, but it'll usually, I think in almost every case that I can think of, is like usually the girlfriend, where they're like, would you still love me if I was like a spy? If I was like a spy and I was on the run, you could only see me twice a year, would you still like love me, or would you like move on? You know? And you're supposed to be like, yeah, I'd still love you and we would make it work logistically, or, you know, whatever. And it's like, I get it. I get, you know, there's scenarios that pop in your head and you want reassurance from the person. Hey, would you still love me if this thing happened? But some of them are too crazy. Like, would you love me if I was like a ladybug? How is it going to make me, you know what I mean? Like, think about that. It makes me look bad if I say no. But then if I say yes, I look like I fucked ladybugs. Which is worse? Which one do you want to be in a relationship with less? You know, I don't know. Dudes do plenty of like weird, annoying, dumb stuff. There's just not as many dudes doing that hypothetical thing, you know? Like, I just don't know of a guy who's rolling over in the middle of the night like, babe, wake up. Wake up.
Were you sleeping? Wake up. Do you have work tomorrow? Wake up. Wake up, babe. Wake up. Would you still love me if I, like, cheated? See what I mean? See how you're like, what am I supposed to say to this? Did y'all see the first dates list that's been going viral? It's like a list of first dates that people need to stop taking women on. Some of you have seen it. Okay, in case you haven't seen it, basically, there was this whole thing that I'm pretty sure was fake, that this woman going to the Cheesecake Factory, and then she won't get out the car because it's a Cheesecake Factory. And so, which, this was, I'm not gonna lie, whether the video is fake or real, the video did make me laugh in the beginning because the guy is driving her to the date. The date turns out to be Cheesecake Factory. Then he gets out to open the door for her, which I think went out in the 1890s, right? So then... Clearly a better man than most, right? Gets out of the car, walks around, and then she locked the door. It's his car, locked the door, and then rolled down the window. Was like, I'm not going to Cheesecake Factory. And then he gets back in the car. And anyway, they decide, not to go on the date, whatever, right? But it sparked this whole thing. It sparked this whole debate on, like, if Cheesecake Factory was nice or whatever. So then the list came out of, like, places to stop, places women are done going on first dates at. And the list has 28 different things on it, and it is most places. So like, ladies, just admit you don't like us. Like, that's... Because half the list is very reasonable. Half the list, I was like, who is doing this, right? There are things on the list that are crazy. Because remember, the whole list, first date, right? So there's things on the list that should just never... Church was one. I was like... You just springing church on people? You not even letting them get right before you pull up? Imagine you go on first date, they want to surprise you, you get out and it's church. It's a surprise. Just sprung church on somebody. And you gotta be careful about people who spring church on you, because usually it's a cult. Like, if y'all going to church on like a Thursday at 6, that's not regular church hours. That's not what we're doing in established churches. Some of the list was, I'm not gonna lie, I thought a lot of the list was very reasonable, Like church was one. Another one that blew my mind, the gym. You only do that if you try and make her your enemy. Like, you just, let's go to a place that we could both use. It's insane. Towards the top of the list is Chili's and Chipotle, right? And I will say this, just from my experience, if you take a woman on first date to Chili's or Chipotle, ladies, if he's taking you on first date, Chili's or Chipotle, he is trying to give you the D, okay? And by D, I do mean diarrhea. Like, that is absolutely chaotic. Chipotle, first date, you just want her with full of burrito. That's insane. Who raised you? Like, that's... No. Buffet was one, and buffet is super reasonable. That is reasonable. You're taking a first date on a buffet. What are you trying to test her for? What's the plan here? It's like, you can't be with me unless you can clear 3 plates, okay? This is an audition, all right? We eat in this family. This is crazy. And to be fair, a lot of the stuff, whether it's reasonable or not, that was on the first date list, I have friends who were taken on all of those first dates. You know what I mean? So they are happening. I had a friend, dude took her on a first date to a buffet, and then they get there and she's like, oh, okay, didn't know, but let's make the most of it. Brings the plate up, starts, making making her plate very responsible portions. She gets back. He comes back 3 minutes later. He got a whole pyramid of food. Like, it is crazy as he sits down and then he just starts pounding egg rolls. Like, just this man, like it's a contest, just nonstop. Egg roll, egg roll. Where you from? Egg roll, egg roll, egg roll, egg roll. What are your ambitions? Egg roll, egg roll, egg roll, egg roll. And then finally he choke, right? And this is a thing that I'm being serious for a second outside the dating stuff. Just as us, fellas, as men, we have got to start chewing, all right? Most of the choking in this country is us. Almost all of it is us. It's just men being happy and being like, oh, it's real good. Like that every day that's happening to us. That's nobody's fault but us. It's our mouth, all right? So just please, bro, chew. Please chew. I'm begging you. Too many men are dying unnecessarily of delicious food and not paying attention. And so then he start choking. She get up from the table, go around to his side, gives him the Heimlich. He spits the food out, sits down, and it's like, oh, can't believe that happened. Oh my God, thank you so much. You saved my life. I want to hear more about your job. I'm gonna get another plate. I'll be right back. Did you learn nothing? One of my favorites, though, one of my favorites that I do agree with, that's on the list, and I know some people are going to come for me, but number 10 on the list is Wingstop. Now, if you're not from this country or you don't know what a Wingstop is, just know they don't have seating, okay? Like, almost none of it. If you're taking a woman to Wingstop, it's because she's a fugitive. It's like, baby, we got to get in and get out. I don't want you seen. You know what I mean? We on the run together. This was your scenario that you asked me if I would still love you, so. That's crazy. Because Buffalo Wild Wings is also on the list. But at least at Buffalo Wild Wings, the one caveat I have for it is if y'all are both into sports, you can watch the game and eat something in a booth. You can have a good time together. Wingstop just got 2 trash cans and some high top tables. Because Wingstop don't want you to eat at Wingstop. Wingstop is like you order and you get the fuck out. I don't even want to look at you right now. Also, wings on a first date is chaos. That's a setup right there. You just want to make sure she's a hunter. What are you doing? No. I've had to delete some apps from my phone. My phone finally filled up. That's when you start making decisions. When you see that thing cannot be backed up on the cloud, you start being like, oof, do I need to know the weather? Like. And I had to delete the Citizen app. Yeah, no. If y'all don't have the Citizen app, I'm begging you, don't download it. All right. The Citizen app is insane. If you don't know what it is, it's an app that tells you what crimes are happening around you and in the city at large, which nobody needs to know. All right. The crime in New York is either happening to you or none of your business. Why would I get that app? Just to be the worst Batman ever? To try to stop crime on foot? Is that my plan? There's a robbery happening 6 blocks away. I get there out of breath. Don't do it. Oh. No. The only reason I even had the Citizen app is because I loved the headlines. Because people can self-report, you know, they can tell you what's happening near you. And sometimes the police are not even aware of it. Sometimes it really is people seeing the thing, uploading it to Citizen, then the police come and all gets official and stuff. My favorite one that I've ever seen, and I have lots. Like, honestly, if you come to see me, I will be talking about this every set. I have endless. But one of my favorites was man exposing himself at Popeyes. And I loved it because they said exposing. They use a present tense, which means the dick is still out. Like, the dick is... The dick is currently at large. Yeah, I mean, they're like, he doing it right now. Please hurry. He's swinging everywhere. He getting on the chicken sandwiches. Please send somebody. No. Oh. Did I follow that okay? Did I do a good job? Y'all been great. I'm Josh Johnson. Have a good one.